Studios die slowly usually. But sometimes a single movie drives the final nail. These disasters didn't just lose money. They slaughtered entire companies. Some are beloved classics now. Others are laughingstocks. One thing unites them: financial suicide. Hollywood hates this list because it proves no one is safe. Not even the greats. Here are 10 films that murdered their own studios in cold blood. Heaven's Gate, 1980. Michael Cimino had just won an Oscar for The Deer Hunter. United Artists gave him a blank check. Big mistake. He shot 200 hours of footage. He burned through budget after budget. The final cost hit $44 million. In 1980, that was catastrophic. Cimino demanded real period buildings. He forced actors to learn authentic frontier skills. He fired crew members constantly. The film ran nearly 5.5 hours originally. They cut it down to 3 hours 39 minutes. Still, nobody came. The movie earned just $3.5 million back. Critics tore it apart. Audiences stayed home. Parent company Transamerica ran for the hills. They sold United Artists to MGM. One of Hollywood's greatest director-driven studios vanished overnight. Heaven's Gate became the ultimate cautionary tale. Every studio exec fears this movie. They still whisper its name when a director asks for too much control. Cimino never fully worked again. United Artists never recovered. A masterpiece? Maybe. But a masterpiece that killed everything it touched. Battlefield Earth, 2000. John Travolta believed this was his passion project. He based it on L. Ron Hubbard's sci-fi novel. He wanted Quentin Tarantino to direct. Tarantino read the script and laughed. No thanks. Travolta poured $5 million of his own cash into the film. He claimed it was better than Star Wars. He compared it to Schindler's List. The finished movie featured Dutch angles everywhere, terrible wigs, aliens that looked like confused chickens. Critics called it the worst movie of the decade. It won 8 Razzie Awards. But the real disaster happened off-screen. Franchise Pictures lied about the budget. They told German investors the film cost $44 million. The truth was closer to $73 million. Some court documents said $75 million. The Germans sued. A Los Angeles jury awarded them $121 million in damages. That lawsuit bankrupted Franchise Pictures. The studio collapsed entirely. Battlefield Earth didn't just bomb at the box office. It committed fraud. It got caught. And it dragged its own parent company straight into the grave. Travolta's career survived barely. The studio did not. Cutthroat Island, 1995. Carolco made Terminator 2, Total Recall, Rambo. Then a pirate movie killed them. Cutthroat Island cost $98 million. It earned $10 million worldwide. That is a 90% loss. The production was a nightmare from day one. Director Rennie Harlin wanted real ships, real explosions, 3 cameras rolling at all times. He fired his chief camera operator. 24 crew members walked off set. This was supposed to be his honeymoon movie with star Gina Davis. He even dropped $1 million of his own money on script rewrites. Carolco could not afford any of this. They let it happen anyway. The film missed the top 10 on opening weekend. Guinness World Records named it the biggest box office bomb of all time. Carolco filed for bankruptcy a month before the movie even hit theaters. They sold off their assets to Studio Canal. Hollywood refused to touch pirate movies for almost a decade. Then Disney cracked the formula with Pirates of the Caribbean. But for Carolco, it was too late. Cutthroat Island sank everything. The Golden Compass, 2007. New Line Cinema rode high after The Lord of the Rings. They wanted another fantasy franchise. They spent $180 million on The Golden Compass. The film had a great cast: Nicole Kidman, Daniel Craig, Sam Elliott. It adapted Philip Pullman's beloved His Dark Materials series. But the studio made a fatal mistake. They sold the international rights to cover the budget. That meant New Line only kept the domestic box office. The film grossed $372 million worldwide. Sounds successful, right? Wrong. The domestic take was just $70 million. That went to New Line. The rest went to other distributors. New Line lost tens of millions. The studio had also angered religious groups who boycotted the film. Critics said the movie stripped away the book's anti-religious themes. Fans hated the watered-down ending. A sequel never happened. Within months, New Line lost its independence. Warner Brothers absorbed them completely. No more separate operation. No more New Line as a standalone studio. One overpriced fantasy film ended a Hollywood legend, all because they sold off their own profits. Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, 2001. Square Pictures built an entire animation studio for one movie, 4 years of production, 200 employees, a $137 million budget. They wanted to change cinema forever. The main character, Aki Ross, was promoted as the first virtual actress. She made the cover of Maxim magazine. She landed on the Hot 100 list. Then the movie opened. Audiences did not care. The photorealistic animation felt cold and lifeless. The story was confusing sci-fi nonsense. The film earned $85 million worldwide. That sounds decent, but it was nowhere near enough. Square Pictures shut down 6 months after release. They never made another film. The studio's parent company, Squaresoft, had to merge with Enix just to survive. Sony injected capital to keep the video game division alive. But Square Pictures was done. Apart from one small short in the Animatrix, they vanished completely. This was one of the most expensive animated flops in history, and it proved that realistic graphics cannot replace real emotion. Aki Ross became a forgotten footnote. The studio became a cautionary tale buried in gaming history. Titan AE, 2000. Fox Animation started strong with Anastasia. They almost challenged Disney. Then Titan AE happened. The budget was $75 million. The cast was stacked: Matt Damon, Drew Barrymore, Bill Pullman. The story was post-apocalyptic sci-fi with a giant spaceship. Traditional animation was already dying. Audiences wanted CGI like Toy Story. Titan AE offered a hybrid that pleased nobody. It earned just $36 million at the box office. The film was pulled from theaters in under 3 weeks. Fox had already laid off 300 of 380 animation employees a year earlier. The movie's failure was the last straw. 1 week after Titan AE hit theaters, Fox shut down the entire animation division. They fired entire departments by voicemail. In-development projects like Bartok's Inferno and The Little Beauty King were erased forever. The final loss was estimated at $100 million. Fox didn't even pretend to have a future in animation. Titan AE became a cult favorite years later. But that did not save the studio. It was dead on arrival, and traditional animation never recovered at Fox. Raise the Titanic, 1980. Producer Lou Grade later said it would have been cheaper to lower the Atlantic. He was right. Raise the Titanic cost $40 million in 1980. That is over $180 million today. They built a 55-foot replica of the Titanic for $35,000. Then they realized it did not fit in their water tank. So they built a bigger tank for $6 million. That new tank held 10 million gallons of water. They built it right next to the old one, just for one shot. The movie earned $7 million back. 7. Critics destroyed it. Audiences ignored it. Author Clive Cussler hated the film so much he refused to sell any more book rights for 20 years. ITC Entertainment had to sell its U.S. distribution arm just to stay afloat. The company limped along until 1998, but Raise the Titanic ended its run as a serious film production company. When Cussler finally caved, they made Sahara with Matthew McConaughey in 2005. He hated that too. Some people never learn. But ITC learned the hard way never to raise a ship that should stay sunk. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, 1987. Canon Films had a history of financial problems. Then they bought Superman. Big mistake. The budget was supposed to be $36 million. They slashed it to $17 million. The thriftiness showed everywhere. Cheap sets, terrible special effects, a villain named Nuclear Man who looked like a drag queen wrestler. Christopher Reeve returned because he believed in the anti-nuclear message. He later regretted it deeply. The movie bombed hard. Fans revolted. Critics laughed. Canon's already strained finances collapsed entirely. The studio was taken over by Path Communications. They tried to restructure. They switched executives. Nothing worked. Canon closed its doors for good in 1994. Superman Y4 killed the franchise for years. It also killed a studio that once made decent movies like The Delta Force and Runaway Train. Gene Hackman refused to return as Lex Luthor after reading the script. Smart man. The film's only legacy is as a punchline and a tombstone for Cannon Group. It's a Wonderful Life, 1946. This is the most beloved Christmas movie of all time. It killed its studio. Frank Capra poured everything into Liberty Films. He made the movie personal. Jimmy Stewart had just returned from World War II. He suffered from PTSD. He channeled every ounce of that pain into George Bailey. Those emotional scenes where he falls apart at the bridge, that was real. Stewart was genuinely breaking down. The film cost $3 to $18 million. It was released December 20th, 1946. But RKO buried the release. A full national release did not happen until January 7th, 1947. Everyone was done with Christmas by then. The movie lost over $5,000. Liberty Films folded the very next year. Paramount bought the remains. Capra never saw his film become a classic. He died before the yearly TV broadcasts made it legendary. It took a copyright lapse and free airings for audiences to discover it. In 1946, it was just another flop that destroyed a dream. Now it is required viewing every December. But Liberty Films stayed dead. Astro Boy, 2009. Imagi made waves with TMNT in 2007. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film proved they could do decent animation. They dreamed of becoming a major Hollywood player. Their next step was Astro Boy. Budget, $65 million. Box office, $42 million worldwide. A massive failure. The film had solid voice talent, including Nicolas Cage and Freddie Highmore, but audiences did not connect. The marketing was weak, the release date was crowded, and the property was more popular in Japan than America. Imagi could not recover. They went under in 2010. A short list of unfinished projects was abandoned forever. Astro Boy became the final film from a once promising studio. Imagi had so much potential. They had the skills. They had the ambition. They just picked the wrong movie at the wrong time. One bomb wiped them off the map. No second chances. No revival. Just a quiet bankruptcy and a forgotten robot boy left in the rubble of broken Hollywood dreams. These 10 movies prove one brutal truth. No studio is too big to fail. No director too talented. No classic status too sacred. Hollywood eats its own for breakfast. The next big bomb is always waiting. The only question is, which studio gets the funeral next?